What's up, fight fans? Welcome to Shooting the Shit, brought to you by Countermove Fantasy MMA at countermove.com. I'm the Forrest Gump of mixed martial arts, Tommy Toehold. He is Canadian import, host of the MMA Hour, and plaid shirt enthusiast Ariel Helwani. Ariel, how you doing?
How long is this thing going to take? Because I have a really busy day filled with asking people annoying questions and instigating fights between fighters. So if we can just hurry up this whole process, that would be great, Tommy. Thanks a lot.
Oh, snap. Shit just got real and we haven't even finished the intro. Let's do this shit! How much did you cry during Mark Hominick's entrance at UFC 129? And was that the most Canadian thing that's ever happened?
Since I consider myself a professional journalist, or at least I try to be as professional as possible, I kept my emotions in. I will never forget that moment. In my opinion, it was one of the greatest walkouts in UFC history, and I think that they should have retired that song after he used it, because everyone else has felt kind of second rate every time they used it, and now people are just using it for no particular reason. Like John Jones is using it when he's fighting in New Jersey. He's not even from New Jersey. It makes no sense. So it was a fantastic moment. They had a great flag thing on the screens above. It was just amazing, and I did not cry, but I felt very patriotic and I felt very happy, and I felt, I felt proud to be Canadian. I didn't think he was going to win the fight, but it certainly gave me a little glimmer of hope. Not that I was rooting for him or anything, but you know what I'm saying. Anyhow, was it the most Canadian moment? No, it wasn't, unfortunately. My most Canadian moment was probably the 2010 Winter Olympics, and we watched the gold medal hockey game between Canada and the USA. We did this video where we were hanging out with the fans in Vancouver, and we filmed their reactions to everything. And then finally, Canada won in overtime to win the gold medal. And I had this little maple syrup jar that I brought with me, and I passed it around to all the fans going nuts, and everyone started drinking out of it. And some poured it on themselves. It was a lot of fun. We actually have it on video, and that was probably the most Canadian moment of my life. Fans celebrating a gold medal for Team Canada by sharing a pretty small jar of maple syrup.
I am now under the assumption that all Canadians have diabetes. Let's say in some alternate universe, the 2014 World MMA Awards Journalist of the Year goes to Ben Fowlkes and not you for the 37th time. You're back at the hotel and Fowlkes slips into your elevator. What do you say to him?
Two things. A, how much did it cost? B, how does it feel to be like me for just one night only?
You might as well Costanza on out of here, because it's going to be impossible to top that one. Better fighting game, Street Fighter the movie, the game, or Mortal Kombat?
Solid question, but I've always been a huge fan of the great Shaq Fu, and of course, it didn't have the longevity and the popularity that those two titles did, but I've always been partial to Shaq Fu, so I'm going to go off the board here and go with Shaq Fu.
For the record, nothing is better than Street Fighter the movie, the game. It's a game based on a movie that's based on a game. If I walked into Ariel Helwani's closet, how many plaid shirts am I going to come across? And what's one object in your closet people would be surprised you had?
Believe it or not, Tommy, I've actually never taken the time to actually go ahead and count the amount of plaid shirts that I own. I do, contrary to popular belief, have a little more important things to do than that. That being said, I'll probably guess that I have maybe around, I don't know, 20 to 25. I do own some non-plaid shirts. I wear them very proudly on occasion, but I always feel most comfortable in plaid. If I could, I would wear plaid every day if I had the means to revamp my entire wardrobe and wear plaid, from plaid jeans to plaid boxer shorts to plaid undershirts to plaid socks. I would do it. I just feel most comfortable. It's almost like a shield. I feel like no one can take me down. No one can defeat me when I'm wearing plaid. That being said, I don't think my closet is that funky to where it would surprise anyone, any particular item. I do think people would be surprised to see my 1999 Canadian Junior Maccabi Games basketball jersey. I was the captain of the Canadian team. We made it to the bronze medal game. We played the Brazilian squad. We ended up losing to them, but I get the sense that people don't really think that I'm all that athletic, and they might be surprised to know that I was actually the captain of a basketball team. Now, if you don't know what the Maccabee Games is, Tommy, the Maccabee Games are the Jewish Olympics. Now, that doesn't sound very athletic, but I can assure you there are a lot of great athletes and a lot of actual future collegiate stars. Doug Gottlieb of CBS Sports played on the American team, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on and on, but maybe that would surprise people because I get the sense that people aren't all that impressed with my I don't know, my athletic build.
Look at you! Fucking balling out of control Woody Harrelson incognito. You and I should team up and hustle people on Venice Beach. If you could book anyone, what does your dream episode of the MMA Hour look like? And will I be on before or after Ralph Macchio?
Sorry to say neither of you will be on it.
Well, fuck me and Karate Kid, I guess.
And the reason I say that is because my dream episode of the MMA Hour is this coming week's show. You have to understand, Tommy, doing the MMA Hour is a privilege. It's a dream. It's an honor. It's something that I don't take for granted. And every single episode is my dream episode. And that may sound like a corny answer, not really the answer that you were looking for, but it is the honest truth. Why do you think I've extended the show from 1 hour to 2 hours to 3 hours to 4 hours to 4.5 hours now? By the end of every show, I do feel like a little bit of me has died. If you've ever actually made it through the end of the show, I suspect only my mom makes it to the end. But if you've ever actually made it to the end of the show, you will kind of realize that I slur my words. I'm not very coherent. It doesn't really make any sense what I'm saying. But I love every second of it, and I hope it never ends. And I hope that the people enjoy it because I put a lot of time into that damn show, and it would be nice to get some recognition from time to time.
I respect the shit out of that answer, but I'm still pissed you shafted Karate Kid. 30 years down the road, where is mixed martial arts? And more importantly, where is Carmen Sandiego?
I get the feeling that in 30 years, of course, it's impossible to predict, but I get the feeling that mixed martial arts will be kind of in the same space that it is in today, perhaps a notch above, maybe a notch below, but I don't think it'll ever be more popular than the NFL. I don't think it'll ever be more popular than what our friends overseas call football. I just think there's a certain part of this society that we live in that they're going to love fighting, and there's a lot of them who will not like fighting, and that will, at the end of the day, stunt the growth of mixed martial arts. It's come a long way. Who knows really what the future holds, but I think we're in a pretty good spot now, and while, of course, there's always room to grow, this time in 30 years, the UFC will probably be putting on 6,000 events in a calendar year, so it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out. I do think, though, that it'll always kind of be, below those, 4 major sports, NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball, just because at the end of the day, it is 2 men or women fighting in a cage, and some people aren't going to like that. As for Carmen Sandiego, I suspect she'll be hanging out with Waldo.
You mean that? You think Waldo and Carmen are fucking? My friends told me not to trust her. Said she travels too much, never tells me where she's going. You know what? I needed to hear that. And strangely, somehow I think you were the right person to tell me. I needed a respected MMA journalist to tell me that Carmen Sandiego is likely cheating on me with a guy who wears striped sweaters and needs a cane. Holy fuck, my life is falling apart. If you were not a sports journalist, what would you be doing for a living?
This is probably the toughest question of the day because for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a journalist. And it actually kind of frightens me to think of a world where I'd have to choose something else. Another thing that people don't know about me is that while I was a very good basketball player, and right now I'm probably a mediocre one, because I think once you reach the stage where you're a father of 2, all your skills just go out the window. I was actually a really good luchador back in the day. I was actually training to become a luchador, and I had received a couple of tryouts from some major promotions. I don't want to put them on blast here, but back in 2002, I had received a few calls from some major promotions in Mexico to go down there and try out. My name was El Nariz, and you can look that up and figure out what it means for yourself. But my moves were pretty amazing. Not to toot my own horn and pull a Barry Horowitz here, but my Hurricane Rana, my leg drop, my elbow, my knee. I mean, it's just a vast array of moves that I had. And then once the journalism thing kind of came into play, I put that aside. But there's some amazing photos of me training and obviously I still have the masks and whatnot. That I think would surprise a lot of people. So end of the day, I'd probably say luchador. I'd probably be touring Mexico right now, selling out arenas all over that great country, and really putting on a show for the fans. Because at the end of the day, that's what I love to do, is put on a show for the fans.
Ella Reeves! You always carry yourself very professionally. I think you're one of 4 journalists in MMA with a degree in journalism. You always keep your composure even when the person you're interviewing is having a complete breakdown. Can we hear you say fuck?
You know, Tommy, that's actually a really good question, because when I was a youngster, I loved fuck. Loved it. Dynamic, exciting, always keeping you on your toes. Loved it. Loved talking about it. It always would get me excited. And then I found out that English people call fuck seal. And that just kind of ruined it for me.
What the seal are you talking about, Helwani? All right, let's wrap this up. Talk to me about the questions you hate the most from other journalists.
The questions I hate the most are when people say, talk to me about, or tell me about, or just, they just make a statement and they don't ask something. Those are the worst.
You motherfucker. Let's take this in another direction. What's one of the worst questions you've ever heard at a press conference?
One question that has been repeated over the last few months, and the guy who asked the question is actually a great guy, and I always enjoy seeing him and talking to him when I see him at events. But the guy who asked Josh Barnett at the UFC 168 pre-fight press conference what he thought about a charter full of Hawaiians coming to the event. And we should give Josh a lot of credit for his response, but I think that was one of the more bizarre questions I have heard at a press conference. What does Josh Barnett think about a charter full of Hawaiians coming to the fight? I mean, what more can you say? That's half the most amazing question I've ever heard at a press conference, and half the absolute worst question I've ever heard at a press conference.
Okay, that is officially going to be a question asked in every single episode of Shooting the Shit from now on, because that is fucking amazing. Ariel Helwani, thanks for your time. Appreciate you sitting in the
5-on-4, what? What?